What is going on? I am Cole, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, I am going to be talking about my most anticipated comics for the new comic book day, March 15th, 2023. And if you want to see what my picks are going to be, make sure you stick through that intro.
Most anticipated comic books. Most anticipated comic books from Cole.
So every week, I like to go through what is coming out each new comic book day and let you all know what I am excited to read. One of the reasons why I really started this channel was so that I could talk about some of the comics that I like, selling comics, collecting comics, all things related to comics. And one of the things that I just really enjoyed doing was talking about what books I'm excited to read. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to show everyone first. I use League of Comic Geeks to figure out which books that I'm doing. Now, the reason that I like to show this off to everyone here is that sometimes I may provide a response to you or tell you that there is a book that I'm looking forward to that actually doesn't come out. And it's not because I don't pay attention or I'm not doing my research. It's just sometimes the League of Comic Geeks is wrong. And when I do this, the way that I do, I usually go fairly early in advance. I want to get this video out on Fridays just to give you some stuff to think about on the weekend before you start planning for new comic book day. So occasionally I may have a book incorrect. Usually it's because it's either delayed. Sometimes League of Comic Geeks hasn't synced up to what's new, and especially with some of these indie publishers, which are what I talk about a lot, there are just some weird things where they originally had a weird release date, and then because of an issue with Diamond or Lunar, they end up getting pushed back. Also, if you are new here, I recently hit 1,000 subscribers. I keep talking about it because I'm excited, and I want to thank each and every one of you who come back, watch these videos, and just give me a subscribe. I'm going to have a link to that video up here. If you go there, there are some prizes that I'm giving away. I'm eventually going to release a day that we're going to be doing this. I think it's going to be a fun time to just celebrate and give back to all of you who have helped support me at this channel. But if you are here, you're looking forward to what books I want to talk about. So the first book I want to pick is The Forge. This is a new #1 from Image Comics. We've got writer Greg Rucka. We got writer Eric Trotman, and we got artist Mike Henderson with letterer Ariana Maher. Now, this book does have a pretty big price tag of $5.99, but it is coming in at 64 pages. I followed a little bit of Greg Rucka. I know that he did that Lois Lane run at DC that I just loved. I think he did Stumptown and a few other books. I know that he has done some pretty big female characters, so I really have no idea what this book is about, but it is a new #1. It is from Image, and I'm going to pick it up. It is a pretty small blurb, so let's read it out and see if this sounds like a book that you're interested in. In the 11th millennium of the rule of the Eternal Empress, a squad of planet-smashing super soldiers find their routine mission to get anything but. They are forged. They take no prisoners. So yeah, there's not a lot there. I've usually not a huge mecha fan, but there are some things that maybe, can get to me. And certain writers is what I try to promote on here. Sometimes a good writer can do something that you're normally not into and make you enjoy it. So hopefully this is a book that I end up really digging. And as I mentioned, sometimes some of these books get delayed. I have a book that I'm going to talk about that I really have no idea if it's actually coming out this day or not. And it is called Fallen #1. This is from Red 5. It's from writer Matt Ringle and artist Henry Ponciano. And now the reason that I say that is because I noticed that with some of these smaller publishers, League of Comic Geeks sometimes gets a little weird. So I wanted to double check. I went to previews. I did not see it coming out on previews, but I also don't know who Red 5 distributes through. And then when I went to check on Red 5's site, they said that this should come out in February of 2023. So who knows? Hopefully this book comes out and hopefully my shop has it because this sounds pretty awesome. So I want to read this to you. Casper Clay, an innocent warrior and immortal servant of Zeus, turned private detective, navigates the murky depths of a criminal underworld to solve the murder of a god at the hands of a mysterious killer. As he gets closer to unveiling the truth, he learns that there may be more at stakes than solving the case. This is a one of 6 from a pretty small indie publisher, and that really has me excited. This type of story is something that really gets me. I think I've mentioned here horror and like crime noir are kind of some of my big favorite genres, and I feel like they just don't have as many of these like detective stories out there as I would like to have in comics. So have you heard of Fallen or Red 5 Publishing? Let me know in the comments because I'd like to just kind of get the name out of these people. And the final number 1 is also sort of a cheat, but I'm going to talk about it. And it's Seven Sons. This is a trade paperback. The reason that I'm talking about this is because Blake and I are going to be talking about this on Tuesday. And I'm sorry I didn't post anything about us taking last Tuesday off. I know that Blake ended up having an interview and he was like, I can end it early. And I was just like, you know what? Let's just take the week off. You know, we don't have to do it every single week, but it has been fun talking about it. So once again, we're talking Seven Sons. And yeah, it's from creators Robert Windrum, Kevin Mao, and artist Jia Li. So if that sounds good, make sure you click this link up here. Click on that notify button so that you can hang out with us on Tuesday to talk about Seven Sons. And one of the things I really forgot to even mention is that we are on issue number 50 of Most Anticipated Comics. How crazy is that? I know. Big shout out to my buddy Joe Talks Comics. He had brought up to me, hey, how come it seems like you started this over a year ago, but you missed some issues? So I did take a little bit of time off. I had a surgery earlier last year, and it just made it really hard for me to make these videos, but we're back. We've been doing it. We're on issue 50. So I brought one of the most energetic people out here in the comic book YouTube world to give me their most anticipated comic. So let's toss this thing over to Bruce.
What is going on, comic book fans? Welcome back to Cole's Comics, Claims, and Cole. Thank you so much for having me back on the channel. Guys, this is one of my favorite video series out there. But guys, if you enjoy this type of content right here, make sure you guys are checking out my channel. I put out a video called The Wednesday Pull List, which is just like this video right here, but with my own flair. But guys, I am here to tell you guys about one of the books I am most excited about dropping next week. Now, this is not going to be my #1 book for next week. No, I'm saving that for my video. So make sure you guys are tuning in for that. But I really enjoyed this book right here. The Last Barbarians, issue number 2 drops this week. This is issue number 1. Guys, it was fantastic. It was so much better than I thought it was going to be. Now, I told you guys about this a long time ago on my channel when this book was on final order cutoff because I really like this cover right here, the Virgin variant. This cover right here is absolutely stunning. And guys, this book right now is going for $20. But what I was also telling you about on that video is how good this story sounded, and it was just as good as I thought it. It's about a female barbarian who has a brother who's 7 feet tall and he's dumb as bricks. But he didn't used to be dumb as bricks. Something happened in their past which killed their parents and made her brother really stupid. And she's having a really hard time getting work to feed her and her brother because she's a jack of all trades. And in her little world, you need to be a specialist at a trade and then you succeed. So she's having a really hard time getting work until this one guy shows up, and everyone warns her to stay away, but she doesn't, and she actually goes with him, and I cannot wait to see where this story is going to go. The one thing I did not love about this book was the interior art. It was not bad, it just wasn't amazing. But guys, the story itself, that was really good. Hey guys, just check out this Virgin variant again. Holy smokes, this is so good. And make sure you guys are following me so that way you guys are in the know when books like this are dropping. Alright guys, that is it for me. Make sure you guys are picking up The Last Barbarians, issue number 2. It's gonna be fantastic. And Cole, back to you.
Awesome pick. That book was definitely on my list. I really liked it. I dug the story, and one of the things that I think I said in my quick review of it was that I liked how it took fantasy and mixed it with humor in a way that you don't normally get in these sort of fantasy books. And when Bruce said that the brother was dumb as a bag of bricks, that had me laughing pretty hard. So once again, Bruce, thank you so much for stopping by and being the guest on issue number 50 of Most Anticipated Comics. Once again, if you are out there in this comic YouTube world and you want to join me on this, please reach out to me on Instagram, or I have my email down below, or just leave a comment that you'd like to be on the show. I love having new guests on here to talk about some of the comic books that they're looking forward to reading. I just love having new faces on here, getting new opinions, because some of the time you guys come on here, you pick a book that I haven't read, and it makes me want to read that book and check it out, and it just just really helps me find new books. So I had actually said to Bruce when I was asking him, what book are you going to pick? So that if I recorded this before he sent it to me, I would know what it was. And this is the book that I had guessed he would pick. And it is Nemesis Reloaded number 3. This is from writer Mark Miller. Once again, his name is Mark Miller, artist Jorge Jimenez, and variant artist Ryan Sook. So I did not think that I'd like this book. There's a thing about Mark Miller that he does. I think he is one of the best pitchmen in comics. And I say that, but there's been a lot of letdown that I've had where I just don't love some of his stuff. I know everyone was ranting and raving about this book, so I made sure that I went out and I checked it out. So I did, and I read issue 1 and 2, and this thing is crazy. It seems like a book that you think would be kind of edgelordy, but he does it in such a good way. I mean, the general premise is that you have Batman. If Batman killed people, but Nemesis is essentially turning the entire state of California, I think. I don't know exactly where it takes place, and sorry that I forgot that, against all of the cops, and it is wild. The only blurb we have for this issue is the secret origin of Nemesis. You do not want to miss this. This is all. So once again, Nemesis Reloaded number 3. That book is gonna be insane, and I have really dug this. So I really want to thank everyone that had recommended it, because I think this is kind of the big book that most people are talking about so far this year. And my next book on the ongoings is going to be Horror number 2. This is from writer Justin Jordan, artist Bram Revel, and I really dug this first issue. It had a sweet cover. It had this kind of a cool premise of, it's kind of this cult town that has this guy that comes out and takes children during a certain part of the year, and we got to that day, and it has a nice little twist at the end. I kind of didn't think I was gonna dig this as I first started reading it, but once I got into the story, I loved it. It uses colors pretty good, and the bad guy is very menacing, which I definitely really like. I think this does a very good job of making that slasher horror kind of movie into a comic, which sometimes can be sort of hard to do. But I like too that this has what seems to be maybe a more fantasy edge to it that you don't maybe get in some of the movies, and it probably plays better in a comic book. And the final book for ongoing is going to be Spy Superb number 3. This is from Dark Horse Comics with writer Matt Kindt. And I think his wife Charlene is doing the colors on this, but this has been a fun book. Matt Kindt is one of those authors that I just love. He does books that I think are kind of meant for me. This is kind of a silly book about this guy who is the best spy in the world, and maybe he doesn't even know that he's the spy. So it's been kind of silly. It's been kind of zany, but it's also a very good book. I really love when they just let Matt Kindt do what he's doing, and this Flux House imprint over at Dark Horse is something that I can really get behind because I have been enjoying everything that is coming out this way. And once again, those were my most anticipated comics for March 15th, 2023. I would love to know, what are you looking forward to? Whether it be a trade paperback, whether it be just a cover that you love, or whether it be an ongoing issue. I love to hear what you're looking forward to. Everyone that leaves a comment telling me what they're looking forward to, I always love hearing it. It helps me open the conversation, and hopefully we can talk about some of the comics that you love too. I've been really enjoying doing this segment, and I did want to say thank you to everyone who comes here, watches these videos, comments, and has subscribed to the channel, because it means a lot to me. And being at issue 50 of this, it has been awesome. It is one of my favorite videos to do. I love looking forward to what's coming out next week and talking about it, and I've loved that I've incorporated bringing guests in. So once again, if you are interested in joining this, please reach out to me, as I would love to have you. Let's see where we go, and hopefully the next 50 issues of most anticipated comic books. As always, I have been Cole. A wise man once said, "Ride on and peace." Now, I know I just said goodbye, but if you click this face here, you can subscribe if you haven't already. I will have my 1,000 subscriber entry video right here, and down here will be a playlist of me talking about most anticipated comics. So if you want to check out the backlog, it's there.